How's it going, everybody? Cross 316 back with another comic book flashback. We are now looking at the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 17. This issue came out in October of 1964, and we are looking at a spectacular story for today. We are going to look at the return of the Green Goblin. That's right, Green Goblin, who is by far one of the greatest Spidey villains of all time. He is the arch villain of Spider-Man. But right now, we are in a time where Spider-Man doesn't know a lot about the Green Goblin. This is the second appearance of the Green Goblin, so he makes his second appearance in this story. We also see a guest starring appearance of the Human Torch in this issue, so that will be pretty exciting. So a lot of drama unfolds in this issue, and I'm just glad that you're here. So don't turn away, don't click the X or anything, don't go away, because we are about to look at a spectacular story. So the title of this story is The Return of the Green Goblin, and as always, it is written by Stan Lee, drawn by Steve Ditko. Rest in peace, Steve Ditko. If you've not heard about Steve Ditko's passing, rest in peace, Steve Ditko. Without you, there would be no Spider-Man. And also Sam Rosen. Alright, so let's get started. So we start out the story here with Peter Parker. He's in class and he's thinking about the Green Goblin. Now remember, the last time we saw the Green Goblin was in issue number 14. And that was the first appearance of the Green Goblin. So Peter Parker is thinking about his time where he fought the Green Goblin back in, I believe, New Mexico. Remember, he was on the movie set, and it was a big setup by the Green Goblin. Remember when Spider-Man had to fight the Enforcers and the Green Goblin? So Peter Parker is thinking about, why hasn't the Green Goblin been shown lately? Where has he been? Has he been hiding all this time? So we come to show that at the exact same time that Peter Parker is thinking about the Green Goblin is training himself to fight for Spider-Man, and it looks like the Green Goblin has more gadgets, new weaponry up his sleeve. We see that he now rides on a glider. Remember in issue 14 he was riding on a broomstick. It looked like a broomstick, but it was like a mechanical broomstick. Now we're looking at a glider, his classic glider that he's always rides on. He also has different weaponry, as it shows right here. He has pumpkin bombs, a ghost, even a mechanical frog. And then again we see another appearance of his human disguise, and we don't know who he is. We don't know exactly who this guy is in the brown suit, but we know for certain that this is the Green Goblin that is menacing Spider-Man. Now we just don't know his name. So a big part of this story is that Flash Thompson and Liz Allen are putting together this Spider-Man fan club, and they want everybody to just come and be a part of this club. And so that's exactly what they're going to do. And of course, remember, Liz Allen has a big crush on Peter Parker, so she wants to invite Peter Parker to this club. And so Liz Allen and Flash Thompson, they continue to have, trouble with Peter Parker. Remember, Flash Thompson has a rivalry with Peter Parker ever since issue number 1, and even in Amazing Fantasy 15. Peter Parker and Flash Thompson seems to never get along, but Liz Allen is going to find a way for Peter Parker to get in that club no matter what. Alright, and so we cut here, and this is a little bit of the side story here with just these people are rushing into this helicopter. Peter Parker suspects that they're up to no good. He changes to Spider-Man and he rushes up to this helicopter, and he comes to find out that he's ruining a movie set. This is all a movie set and it's not for real. So Spider-Man is a fool, looks like a fool here when he's ruining the plans of this movie, so that's not good. So Peter Parker looks bad to the public, and then of course J. Jonah Jameson just chuckling this embarrassing act up. I mean, he loves to see Spider-Man fail. He loves to see Spider-Man at his worst. But we see that Peter Parker's come to the Daily Bugle just to walk Betty Brant home. Remember, Betty Brant and Peter Parker have been dating for quite some time. They've been seeing each other. They both like each other. But remember, Betty Brant knows that Liz Allen has been showing a lot of interest towards Peter Parker, so that plays a lot into the drama in this story. Again, this is an awesome story. I love this story. And so Liz Allen is like, Petey, come over here. Look in this newspaper. We just put an ad out for our fan club, the Spidey fan club, and we want you to come. And so Peter Parker's like, maybe, I don't know. And he said, come on, Betty Brant, I'm going to walk you home. So he walks Betty Brant home, but his Spidey sense also goes off. And remember, here he is, Green Goblin. We don't know his name. We don't know who he is, but he's wearing that classic brown suit again. But remember, Spidey, he can detect who his villains are by sheer Spidey sense. So if a supervillain is nearby and he's fought them in the past, he can detect who that person is, even if they're in disguise. So he walks Betty Brant home, and Betty Brant is surprised that Peter Parker didn't invite her rather, to the fan club. And the reason why is because he didn't want her to come because he would have to change to Spider-Man. Remember, Spider-Man is going to make an appearance at this fan club. And so then he would have to make an excuse to Betty Brant, like, hey, I gotta go somewhere. And it just wouldn't look right. Alright, so then Spidey, remember, his Spidey sense has been going off ever since the Green Goblin walked around him and he was in his human disguise. So Spidey is suspicious of everyone that's walking on the streets. He even sees this guy with a mustache and a cigar. He hears a gun go off. He's like, oh gosh, I gotta turn to Spidey. But then we see, and here he is, the Human Torch. The Human Torch comes, he stops the thief. And remember, the Fantastic Four are very popular at this point. And we even see just how much the public adores Johnny Storm, that is the Human Torch. And Peter Parker gets pretty jealous. And this is the funniest part of the story right here. This kid gets Human Torch's autograph, and even the Human Torch gave Peter Parker an autograph. And he says, hey, did you get the Human Torch's autograph? And then Peter Parker's like, no, I got Spider-Man's. And he said, you want to trade? And then the kid says, what do you think I am, a nut? And so he said, oh, well, you can't win them all. And so that's the funniest part right there in the story. I laughed out loud at that part. Just hilarious stuff. And so here we go. And J. Jonah Jameson finds out that the fan club is going to be meeting. And he's like, we can't have this fan club happening because Spider-Man might become as popular as the Beatles. So Stan Lee throwing in some real life stuff here. At this time in 1964, the Beatles were pretty popular, I have to tell you that. We also find out about Mary Jane Watson again, Miss Watson. They're trying to set up Peter Parker to go on this blind date with Mary Jane, and it seems like all the times that they've tried to set up a date with Peter Parker, things have not gone right. And so right when she says that Peter Parker has a date tonight, then Miss Watson calls Aunt May here and tells Aunt May that Mary Jane has come down with a bad cold, and she can't make it. So that Peter Parker once again runs into a lot of luck here, not having to make up an excuse not to see Mary Jane, because he's never seen Mary Jane in person. We've not seen Mary Jane in person. But again, Stan Lee wrote what he's doing right here is he's building up to a lot of good action here, a lot of good storytelling with who is Mary Jane. We're not going to see her in this issue. Will we see her next issue? We just don't know. So that's a good storytelling by Stan Lee, building up to the soon appearance of Mary Jane. Alright, and so here we go. Spidey comes to the fan club. Everybody's wondering where Spidey's at. And again, Liz Allen is wondering where Peter Parker's at as well, because she invited him. And here we go. We got Green Goblin showing up. He's going to ruin the party. And then Betty Brant's like, I'm glad that or Peter Parker has not showed up, because that means that he doesn't like Liz Allen. And then J. Jonah Jameson is like, where's Parker? He's supposed to be taking pictures. And we also see an appearance of the Human Torch, Johnny Storm, with his girlfriend Doris, or Dory rather. All right, so let's just continue on here. You can just observe some of the great artwork, but then we see Green Goblin shows up. The Green Goblin, and everybody thinks that when Green Goblin and Spider-Man are fighting on stage, they think it's an act. And everybody's just eating it up like, wow, this is awesome. But Johnny Storm suspects that something is not right here. Why would the Green Goblin show up and fight Spidey as an act? This doesn't seem right. And then we see right here with Liz Allen. Liz Allen's like, where is Peter Parker at? Every time that Spidey's on the scene, it seems like Peter Parker is never around. And then Spider-Man hears what Liz Allen says, so he's like, oh gosh, now she's going to suspect that I'm Spider-Man. And so, a lot of great drama in this story here. We also see Green Goblin just fighting Spider-Man. We eventually see the Human Torch. He's like, all right, I got to stop the Green Goblin. This is going way too far, because Green Goblin's not letting up. And everybody's like, oh, boo, why is the Human Torch here? And so we see a great fight. Spidey and the Human Torch, they kind of team up together to fight the Green Goblin, but Spidey gets out of the way to turn back to Peter Parker so that he can break suspicions with Liz Allen. Liz Allen sees Peter Parker, but then that upsets Betty Brant, because remember, Betty Brant does not want to see Liz Allen and Peter Parker together. So that's not good. So Betty Brant, for the rest of the issue, is upset with Peter Parker, and she says that she can never trust Peter Parker again, because he didn't invite Betty Brant to begin with, and now he sees that he's with Peter Parker, or with Liz Allen. I'll get my words out eventually. So we see a great fight with the Human Torch and the Green Goblin. Great stuff here. Spidey comes back on the scene and tries to help the Human Torch, but then we overhear that Aunt May has suffered a heart attack and she's in the hospital. So that right there immediately causes Spider-Man to run out of the fight, causing people to think that he turned chicken, that he turned yellow. Now remember, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. He needs to go see Aunt May. Aunt May is the #1 priority in his life. He lives with Aunt May. He loves Aunt May. She's a mother figure to him. And so we see that the Green Goblin's mission was a success. He caused Spider-Man to appear hopeless and look bad in the public's eyes. And even the Human Torch is upset about Spider-Man. We've seen how the Human Torch and Spider-Man have not gotten along in past issues, but he's pretty upset that Spider-Man ran out of the fight. J. Jonah Jameson is happy as can be, and we see the fan club. Everybody's mad. They all leave, and one person in particular stays behind. That's Flash Thompson. He's the only Spidey fan that's left in the club that's not giving up on Spider-Man. So Peter Parker rushes to the hospital, and Aunt May seems to be safe, but she's very, very weak. So we end the issue here with Peter Parker being frustrated with himself. He can't stand what's happened, and it seems like Spider-Man always gets in the way with everything. Everything seems to go sour whenever he has responsibilities to take care of, but he can't reveal himself because of his Spider-Man identity. Alright, so that's how we end. We kind of end on a sour note here with Peter Parker upset with himself with everything that's going on. But that's, again, it's great storytelling by Stan Lee. Hope y'all enjoyed this review, and I will see y'all in the next review. Don't forget to subscribe.